So today I've got an amazing guest. She has an impressive track record spanning 9 years within the ServiceNow ecosystem. Now, Leah's story is a testament to the power of hard work, determination, and an unwavering commitment to excellence. Today, as the Chief of Staff at Flyform, Leah stands as a beacon of inspiration for young professionals worldwide. Her journey reminds us that age is but a number in the grand scheme of achieving one's dreams. So Leah, thank you so much for joining us. It's amazing to have you today.
Oh, thanks, Farah, and thanks for inviting me on.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So, first of all, Leah, I think it was so interesting just to hear your journey, really. Particularly, for the young professionals, but also I think, women, right? Because we know traditionally IT has been a very male-dominated industry, and obviously there are women that are rising to the top and making real waves. So it would be just so lovely to hear how you got introduced to ServiceNow and how you achieved such great success.
Cool, thanks, Farah. Yeah, sure. So I started off, I'll go straight, well, all the way back to university and the degree that I actually did. And I did a degree in drama. So it was a little bit left field. It was just something that I found interesting at the time. But what it did do is it moved me over to London. So I graduated in 2014 and I really wanted to stay in London. So I needed to get a job to be able to do that. So I got headhunted by some recruiters, and we had one of those days where you turn up. It's like an assessment day, whereby the potential employers, they come around and they watch you working, they watch how confident you are, etc., and then they make an offer. So almost like a bid on you. So I had an interview off the back of that, and that was I had a couple of interviews, but one of them that I really enjoyed was with an individual who owned a ServiceNow partner. So that's how I kind of got into the ecosystem. And it was purely by luck. It wasn't by a big dream that I had to go into tech or into IT, but it was purely by chance and the need to earn money to be able to stay in London.
Yeah, that's amazing. So when you first joined the ServiceNow ecosystem, like what were you doing?
So I worked initially as an account development rep. So basically cold calls. So I
Oh,
was
wow.
aligned with an account manager, and I would feed them individuals that I had either found that were either interested or wanted to have a meeting or a demo. So I would then share those individuals with the account rep, and then they would take those on, and hopefully they would make a deal. So the aim for me was to get meetings, and I think that's where a lot of
Wow.
people do start within the sales industry, and I guess it's similar for recruitment as well.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so would you say, like, what was your next step after that? Like, once you kind of achieved that, yeah.
Yeah, so within the sales role, I think my boss at the time and I kind of knew it wasn't really for me. I wasn't the type of person to chew anyone's ear off, or if they said no, I'd say, "Oh, that's fine." It was more of it was less of a persuasion tactic, and I was treating individuals as individuals. And when they said no, I was like, "Yeah, that's cool. I'll move on to the next one." So I kind of didn't have that
Yeah.
tenacity. I didn't have the get go and the drive for it. So I actually took a 6 month period out where I went to a different organisation, and I was working with them, and we were creating cycling events and stuff like that. So that's kind of where I understood that I really enjoyed project management. I really enjoyed the event, like creating an event and it coming together. So I did that for 6 months, and unfortunately they couldn't keep me on for much longer on a decent wage. I was earning like 12k because it was an interim, 12k a year in London. I was sofa surfing big time, and it was, life was a bit of a struggle. So I went on an evening out with the old company where I first started in ServiceNow, and I got chatting to the co-founders of that organisation, and they said they might have a role for me. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm interested because I'm almost finished this internship. So we had a conversation a couple of weeks later, and it was for an office management position. So it was still within the ServiceNow ecosystem, but it was to be their receptionist, their office manager. And it kind of then spawned into loads of different roles. So it was the facilities management, and I say that really lightly. So facilities was like the toilet needs a new toilet seat. So we
Oh,
were in
wow.
these really small offices. is, and we need some whiteboards in the meeting room. So I'd buy the whiteboards and I'd work with one of my team members, and then we'd put them up throughout the day. I'd be introducing clients into the organisation. I'd be like interviewing, doing like a first level interview with other individuals. I then started to manage the team that I used to be in, and that was the account development rep. So I would just be there as like a people manager, hopefully motivating them to close some more deals and get some more meetings on their radar. But yeah, it just kind of like spawned into something. I think both the co-founders kind of understood that I had some capabilities, but even I didn't know where I wanted to put those capabilities or what my capabilities were. But I found that job really, really interesting, and I do look back on those times really fondly.
Yeah, amazing. Sounds so much fun. And so it gives our listeners a bit of an idea about what a chief of staff role looks like and what they do. Like, can you describe like what your day-to-day kind of responsibilities are?
Yeah, good question. So chief of staff role for every organisation is completely different. So I'll point the difference out now. So it's not like a VP of people or a head of people at all. I do look after the people department within Flyform, but I am not CIPD qualified or anything like that. But what the chief of staff role at Flyform does is very much like a utility manager type. So if there is like a problem area within the business, I'd go and I'd help understand what the problem is, and we then create hopefully a project or an initiative off the back of it, and we drive that through. We've recently rolled out, or will be rolling out, like an OKR structure within the organisation. So we, as a senior leadership team, we know exactly where we want the business to go over the next quarter, and we want to be able to share some of that direction with other levels within the organisation to make sure we're all rowing in the same direction, because we're quite a big company now. I think we're almost at 85 or 90 individuals. So if we focus that power, we're definitely going to be able to achieve more as a team.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. And for somebody who wants to go in a position similar to yours, like what would you recommend? Like, how is the best path that they should take?
Yeah, so chief of staff role is something that is usually seen as like a pre-role to being a managing director or a CEO. So it's the chief of staff role has the opportunity to work with every single department. They're kind of like tying threads between or understanding client customer journeys and stuff like that. So the best advice I could probably give is this is what I did anyway, is to try and work in a company that obviously you enjoy. And then it's to suggest the chief of staff role to the founders of the organisation. And that's exactly what I did. I realised that I wanted to be involved in Flyform a little bit more than I originally was as a contractor. And I created a business case for, it wasn't called chief of staff, but I called it something like business operations project manager or something like that. Because I realised that there were some elements within Flyform that I thought we could do quicker, and we could make improvements at a faster pace and make them better as well. So I suggested that. I wrote a little business case with my suggested points of view, some problem statements and stuff like that. And I took it and I said, hey, these don't have to be problems anymore. We can create resolutions, and I think I'm the person that's going to help make Flyform a better place to work. And that's essentially what I did. But I do think that an operations background, or having that office manager, receptionist, getting more and more involved in different departments, I would recommend that as a path. However, I think as a person, you need to be the type of person who doesn't mind getting their hands dirty for anything, and no job's too small. And I think that's probably a character trait that you need to carry.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like your role, does it encompass anything from a technical perspective?
From a tech perspective, no, not directly. However, context within the environment or within the industry that the company operates in is essential. So there might be something that comes out, and I'm just making this up, but it's according to our project governance that we have at Flyform. Me understanding how the projects work that we deliver, the counterparts within that project, the individuals and their purpose, the clients that we have as well, and the type of clients that we're dealing with, all of that context is really, really important. So coming from the background of that company, so obviously I I was the office manager, and I was exposed to a lot. And then I was a engagement manager. I was exposed to a lot. And then I moved into the chief of staff role. So I kind of have context, and I can resonate with a lot of individuals because of that context.
Yeah, sounds perfect. So wonderful. And, I think, obviously you have got to such an amazing position now, and, you've got a real influence, in terms of what you do. A mindset, I think, it is so important. Can you just describe your mindset and your attitude, I think, which has been instrumental in your journey to the top? Like, how did it develop? How do you maintain it as well?
So the attitude and mindset, I must say, I get from my mum. I always remember her telling me that nothing, that if I want something, I can just go out and get it. Like, nothing's not achievable. So I guess that tenacity came from there. Maybe a warped way of thinking, but it's definitely something that has been ingrained in me for a long period of time, as well as discipline. And I was fortunate enough when I was younger to have lots of animals, to live on a farm, that kind of stuff. So if I wasn't up by 6 a.m. to do X, Y, Z, then that animal we were no longer able to keep it. And it was almost that discipline from a young age has kind of been ingrained. What I do think is not commonly talked about is being open to opportunities and taking opportunities when they land, or seeing a challenge as an opportunity. I think that's something that I've been able to develop over time, and I think one of the root of it, I guess, and where it started, was when I was working at Focus Group Europe as the office manager, and we were being acquired by Accenture, which basically made my role as office manager redundant, because we didn't need an office manager anymore. We were moving to different office locations. Accenture had all of that covered, right? They didn't need somebody like me. So the conversations I then had with the co-founders of Focus Group Europe at the time were very open, honest conversations about, Leah, look, you could do anything that you'd like to in Accenture, but you need to understand what that is. And I do remember having quite teary conversations, very delicate conversations as well, around what my next steps were. I guess I felt a bit confused and lost. But eventually I saw it as an opportunity, and I decided to then go down the project management route. And then it's fully investing in that and trusting yourself to do a good job. Because there are pieces in there as well which would suggest, I don't really have the career path for it. I haven't done the qualifications. Why am I in that position? And I guess imposter syndrome is something that maybe a little light sprinkling of that. But it was just around seizing opportunities and understanding where there can be an opportunity. And I guess it's being curious as well, and having that kind of mindset. But for the day-to-day and being able to do my job at the level that I believe I do it at, it's all around creating a steadier personal life, I believe. So anything at work could go sideways or upside down. But if I have a solid home life and I have a dedicated partner, those are the things that mean a lot to me. And we have a lot of shared values as well. Having that home life, like having a home life that feels secure, enables me, I think, to go all in when it comes to work. Because having a home life that is a struggle, and then obviously work, 'cause sometimes days are a struggle, it can feel like it's a relentless kind of cycle. And then obviously there's things such as burnout which come off the back of that. So yeah, you've got to be really careful on kind of where you want to spend your coins every day. And I think that's an assessment I kind of make every day. Like, I've got some coins that need to be spent at home, so that's less coins than for work. I don't have an infinite amount of coins to give.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I just think it's so interesting how you touched upon like having that solid foundation. And it's, because then if you feel calm, then you're going to produce your best work and be happy, and enjoy what you do.
Exactly, yeah. And we work in like a really... nobody dies on our job. We're very lucky, right? It's not one wrong move and we're in a hospital and something bad happens. So we have to just remind ourselves that it's just an issue, it's just a problem. Let's just try and work out how we solve it, and do our best and put our best foot forward. I think that's got a lot to do with feeling psychologically safe as well. So if we were to make some decisions, or within the departments that I run, we were to make decisions, if they aren't the right decisions, I hold my hands up. That's absolutely fine. It's the fact that at Flyform, no one berates me for it. Nobody says, "Oh, how could you have done that?" If they just try and understand what I was thinking, and we'll come to a better resolution. And I think that psychological safety at work really, really helps.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's great because it empowers people to be confident, and like you said at the beginning, be curious. If there's an environment that you're stuck in, whether it's home life or anywhere, if you're not allowed to kind of explore, it's like almost like the growth stops, right? It's only when we get out of our comfort zone we grow. So
yeah, exactly. And
yeah,
like, don't get me wrong, some days I cannot see the wood for the trees. It just doesn't work for me, right? And other days you're able to be curious. So you can't do it every day. You have to remind yourself of that as well.
No, it's amazing. There was one really interesting thing that you touched upon as well, which was imposter syndrome. Now, many leaders, they face moments of doubt, imposter syndrome. How do you manage self-doubt? How do you manage to overcome those feelings of insecurity, and you have done throughout your career?
I don't think I've had the self-doubt as much. I've always felt that if I apply myself hard enough, I'll get something done.
That's amazing. And there was one thing that you really touched upon, which is really interesting, where you talked about imposter syndrome, right? So many leaders, they do face moments of doubt, of imposter syndrome. How do you manage kind of self-doubt and to overcome those feelings of insecurity throughout your career?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think we all do have self-doubt, and it creeps up, but it's just what you do with the self-doubt. I guess when I first started in the Chief of Staff role, we had a quarterly event at Flyform, and Phil and Aaron and the rest of the senior leadership team said, "Look, Leah, I think you've got something that we should talk about." And I was like, "What, talk in front of all these people? I don't think I've got enough, I don't have enough scars. I don't have enough medals to wear to be able to get the individuals in the room to believe what I'm saying." And that was definitely something. There was definitely a moment of self-doubt there, and definitely imposter syndrome. So I didn't feel like at that point, a couple of months in, I was credible enough for the team to believe what I was saying. And I had an interesting conversation with my partner, and he said that nobody in that audience wants you to fail. Whenever have you sat in a live event and thought, "Oh, they're gonna screw this up. Like, I hope they screw this up." That never happens, and you just have to trust the people on the other end to have confidence in you and to want you to succeed. And I think that's something that I do go through every quarterly event, that the guys in front of me, they're not interested in me failing. They want to believe the things that I'm saying. So I just need to give them a reason to believe it. And so that was one element of self-doubt. Another element of self-doubt as well is just, I guess, me not believing that my opinions in a room full of individuals who have got 20 years of experience on me, that my opinions are valid. And that's something that I have honed over time. And there was a very eye-opening moment, I think it was December last year, where we, as a senior leadership team, we went around the room and we said one thing that we really liked about that person and one thing that we believe they could improve or we want them to kind of stop doing. And I had 3 answers. And so 4 of us in the room at the time, I had 3 answers that said, "Leah, we want you to believe in yourself more." And I thought, hang on, no, I do believe in myself. And they're like, "Well, we don't see that." So it was my posture, my body language, how I talked about things, that I wasn't coming across as somebody who truly believed in what they were saying. And within a quarter, before our next assessment and our next review of how we'd done, I think I nailed it. And it was around,
Amazing.
I nailed it, not I think I nailed it. But it was more around acting that person who has that confidence. And then since then, I believe my contribution to the team and contribution to Flyform has just leveled up, because I've just been far more open with my opinions. And when I do have something that forms in my brain that I do want to say at a meeting, I don't sit on it anymore. I'm confidently able to challenge the room in a respectable way. And I think that's something that I've definitely sort of grown and understood over time. But that's practice. But it's also being confident in the room with the people that you're there with, without that safety, like I mentioned before, psychological safety, it's very hard to get your opinions across in a meaningful way, and to believe and feel that they've been respected and heard.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic advice. And, they kind of always say it's almost like act as if, it's almost like, just put on a facade and act as if, you are the best in the room. And that kind
Like
of
my
gives you that
drama
mental.
degree. Yeah, drama degree coming in hot there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, no, that's brilliant. And, I think what really helps people in their careers is having a really good mentor, and someone who's gives them guidance, throughout their career. Like, what's your opinions on role models and mentors?
Yeah, I think mentor, I'm not sure if I've had a mentor, or maybe I think a mentor needs to be assigned or something like that. But there's definitely people that I've looked up to. I believe it's around opportunities. So I haven't necessarily had mentors, but I've had people that have given me opportunities, and I have obviously thanked them for that opportunity, and I've asked if they would help me hone that skill and get better at it. But I do think that wanting to be more like somebody or learn from somebody is really, really important. And I don't think that has to be limited to the workplace. We've got, obviously now in the age of social media and podcasts and everything like that, you can tap into anybody who you want to be a little bit more like, or you want to learn from. So you've got the Diary of the CEO podcast, you've got Simon Sinek, who's all over LinkedIn, you've got some amazing leaders, some amazing thought leaders, different books, etc. I don't believe a mentor has to be somebody who is right in front of you, sat face to face. I think we can definitely pull the idea of mentorship from different social medias and different educators within the space.
That sounds amazing. So perfect. And, obviously, if somebody who's kind of at the beginning of their career and they're just kind of establishing themselves, what do you think pathways, if somebody's, for example, the next gen community, right? Mm-hmm. So someone's literally at the beginning of their career. What advice would you take? What career path would you kind of suggest? Where do you think there's a need in the industry for talent at the moment?
Yeah, really good question. Tech. I would say, actually reverse that. I think you need to understand what your values are as a person. And there's loads of sheets out there that have different words on there where you can understand your values. You can pick 10, I think, is a really good exercise. If your values are knowledge or learning, continuous learning, ServiceNow is a fantastic space to go into. If your values are monetary based, then that's fine. I would suggest tech. And I would suggest becoming a technical consultant, because a lot of within the ServiceNow ecosystem, there is a limited amount of resources for tech and tech specific. So if you were to have a look at project managers can be educated on ServiceNow for a brief stint and then go into ServiceNow, because the project management, the fundamentals kind of remain the same. The actions, the risk issues, decisions, they're all the same, right? We're all the same processes apply. But specifically, if you were in love with ServiceNow, I would recommend going down the technical route, because I believe your earning potential is a lot more, as well as your potential to grow and to learn. I believe that is that has no bounds and has no end.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. So thank you very much for that. So amazing. Just kind of going back and talking about perhaps certifications in the ServiceNow ecosystem, how important do you think they are? And especially for someone starting out their career, like which certifications would you recommend?
Yeah, so I'd recommend CSA if you're first starting out. So that's your basic, your admin. And I think ServiceNow certs are so important. They're like your badge of honor. The more you collect, the better you come across, and also the more experience you'll have across the platform. So with ServiceNow, obviously, there's so many different modules. You can take so many different certs or micro certs and deltas. It can be really, really overwhelming. However, the more certifications that you have, the better you will come across within the ServiceNow space. And that's somebody who, obviously, as a tech resource or as a BA, the more experience you have, the better it's going to be for you, the more attractive you're going to look to employers. And also with ServiceNow rolling out their new partner program, certifications have never been this important before. So if you're coming into an organization with, let's say, 6 certifications, the organization or the partner is going to be thinking, oh, ding, 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 we can add those certifications to our list now. So I think it's really, really
Right.
important from an educational standpoint, but also from a partner's perspective and actually wanting to employ you as an individual.
Right, that's fantastic. And do you find, do partners support like new individuals in gaining those certifications? Is it an industry
Absolutely.
thing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. I think
perfect.
what partners typically would like a CSA to start with, but to be able to develop the consultants that they have on their books, you need to make sure that they're able to take certifications and take that time to be able to do that. Especially if you're a partner wanting to be of the elite status, that's something that's going to be really, really
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, okay, wonderful. And just kind of going back, and obviously ServiceNow, it's a rapidly evolving platform. It has new features, it has updates. How can young professionals stay up to date with the latest advancements and just make sure their skills remain relevant and in demand?
Yeah, great question. I think again it goes back to certifications. Absolutely. So I think the delta period for all of your certifications is between October and January. So to be able to upskill on certain areas of the platform, I would suggest going to ServiceNow YouTube. I think it might be where you can find all of the knowledge information. So that's the Knowledge is a really big event that happens in Vegas usually in and around May. And that's where ServiceNow introduces new technologies. I believe they had some releases of some relationship with AI as well in May. So it's really important for you to review those videos to be able to be kind of up to speed. And they come out every single year. I also think it's beneficial to follow some thought leaders on LinkedIn and spaces like that, or the community. And I think those individuals, because they're thought leaders, they kind of see a new piece of technology that ServiceNow brings out, but they see it in a different light. And it's a different way to apply this to a client, different thoughts around it. That there's loads of different architects that create some really good material on LinkedIn. And I would suggest that they will help you keep up to date.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. It's great advice. I think, it's important to kind of balance kind of ambition and humility. I mean, you're so grounded, Leah. It's like amazing. How do you maintain that humility whilst striving for success?
Oh yeah, that's actually quite a hard one. Some days, and you can speak to any of my colleagues, I'd be like, oh, I wouldn't disturb Leah today. She's on a mission. So some days I'm like locked in, and I can't even squeeze a laugh out. And other days I feel like I need to bring the laughter, and I need to bring a different kind of vibe and attitude to a certain call. So I try to make sure that I make that decision before I go on the call. So I know those individuals. I like to think I know what gets them going, and I'm able to then help influence their mood for the day and stuff like that. But to be
Yeah.
able to remain, I guess remain grounded, I think that's all to do with my disciplines that I have every single day, my routine, my relationship with my partner. It's all very happy-go-lucky and really funny. I do work out every single morning. That's something that keeps me grounded and I said this. So we did a half marathon on Sunday. It was awful. It was so hilly. I hadn't realised how hilly it would be. It was very, very challenging. And on my way round, I just thought that it doesn't matter what watch you have, what car you drive, how much money you've got in the bank. This run's going to suck either way. And I think that's something that helps me keep grounded is the exercise that I do on the daily basis. Because I like to think that I start my day with the hardest thing that's gonna approach me that day. And usually that's either disgusting cardio workout, or even just the effort of going to the gym. Sometimes it's just even that. But the goals that I have outside of work, I think, because their grits, their determination, their discipline, it's day on day on day, you kind of that compound effect. I don't expect things yesterday. I know that things take time, and I think that's something that I've kind of honed myself into the past couple of years, is that religious exercising and making sure that I I remain grounded, because nothing comes for free, that I'm expected to work for it. I think fitness is
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, that's amazing. And it's even the mentality of, those cold mornings where you're like, oh, I need to go to the gym, and it's having
Yeah,
that routine embedded, and yeah,
yeah.
that's
Those are the
amazing. So
fun
brilliant.
ones.
Those are the fun ones, right? So, by the way, how did you get on in the marathon?
Oh yeah, well, I didn't get the time that I really wanted. I got 2 hours 20, so and my boyfriend got
Oh, very good.
1:40. So
Oh,
he had
wow.
to
Yeah.
wait 40 minutes for me to finish. So he was probably in a lot of pain waiting for me. But
No,
yeah,
that's great. But the man,
it was the effort that went into it beforehand. So I've had two knee surgeries, so it's not been easy. It's like a really big road to recovery there. And we just did small things, and my boyfriend's a personal trainer, so that's obviously very helpful. We just did small things over time, and I suddenly realised that my gains weren't made in my time that I was making or getting quicker. It was made in my recovery. So after doing a 20k run on the weekend, I was able to just get on with my life, which is something that a year ago I would not have been able to do that. I wouldn't have been able to walk.
yeah, no, that's amazing. And that's incredible. That is obviously with the knee surgeries, and to get that time, I think, yeah, it's amazing. Well done.
Oh, thank
So
you.
brilliant. So yeah. So look, Leah, if you could go back in a time machine, now let's pretend we're in Back to the Future, and you could talk to your 21-year-old self, right? What advice would you give her? And this could be totally non-work related.
Oh, what advice? What was I even doing at 21? So I just started a job. I think the advice that I would give myself is just keep, like, don't worry about it. It will be fine in the end. And I think I just put a lot of pressure on myself as a young person. And the pressure that I put on myself, I don't think allowed me to have as much fun as I wanted, or allowed me to be relaxed about things. I gave myself a lot of pressure at that young age, and I wish I could go back and say, hey, look, don't worry about it. You'll be good.
Yeah,
You know you've got this.
I think that's amazing advice, because I think we all do that, right? We all look back at our life and think at that time, those problems seemed huge, right? Absolutely
Hmm.
huge. And when we get older, we look back and think, was it even that important? So, and I think just hearing somebody like yourself say that, I think it just kind of, people probably think that. And then, yeah, to have it heard from you, I think it's like amazing. So, yeah, brilliant. So, well, look, Leah, I just want to say absolutely huge thank you to you for sharing your story, your journey. I hope that, for our listeners, it will give them inspiration that you can do it, that you can be confident, you can do it, just believe in yourself. And I think that's an amazing message to give out. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thanks, Farah. Thanks for letting me share as well. I think it's really important.